Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Excuse me, Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So you see the title, you see the thumbnail. Let's get into it a little bit. So draft prospect Treylon Burks, 6'3", 225 pounds, Arkansas. If you look at his highlights, man, he is an explosive, very, very explosive player. He has, so much unlimited potential. He's crazy downfield threat. He's made some really great and memorable plays, against some really good competition. And I think he is a good prospect right now. But let's get into it for a little bit. So he had 1,104 receiving yards last season. He had 11 touchdowns. And he ran the ball 14 times, 412 yards, and a touchdown. So the thing about him, going back and watching some of the film on him, the one thing that you can point out about Treylon Burks is his ball skills. He has terrific ball skills. I think he's a guy, he can run those routes down the field, the deep in cuts, the post, whatever. He can locate the ball, and he seems like he can locate the ball really well, while he has defenders on him. The one thing that he does really well, I think that translates to the NFL, as far as his ball skills go, is when he's running a route, particularly down the field, he's able to stack the DB, directly, behind him. And that's kind of a concept that, the best wide receivers in the league do. You're able to get up on their shoulder, and able to, stack them back behind you. So you have the advantage whenever the ball comes, right? So he does that very, very well. He's a guy who has been able to do that for the past couple of years. Even if you go back to the tape from the previous year, he's been doing that for a while. So that does translate very well to the NFL, those great ball skills. He also is a dude who I think he's gonna have success no matter where he goes. Now, if I've only seen one mock draft that have the Chargers taking Treylon Burks. I think that was Charles Davis on NFL Network. I think that he will have success. I think depending on where he goes, he'll have more success than other places. He seems like he can be a baller pretty much anywhere. So if you plug him into any offense, I think you can get some really good production out of him. But I think he is the type of prospect that might have success in places where, the offensive coaching is elite, right? So the Rams, like Sean McVay, the Niners with Kyle Shanahan, the Packers with Matt LaFleur, any of these guys, these really young, talented offensive guys who can put, these offensive weapons in the best position, to get the most production out of him. I do think that he can have success with the Chargers, but the Chargers do not have that young offensive guy who can take a weapon and, turn that weapon into an all-pro, a la Kyle Shanahan, a la Sean McVay. So I do think that there are limitations to the production that he can have as a Charger. I think he has skills that can translate, that the Chargers can use, but again, the Chargers don't have that offensive-minded guru to put him in the best position. So, and that's not his fault. That is a team issue at this point. So I just don't think that Joe Lombardi is a guy to take a guy like that and turn him into an all-pro. I just don't think that he is. He doesn't have the track record of that, and he hasn't shown that. So I can't say that Joe Lombardi can do that. But like I said, he does have skills that the Chargers could use potentially if he is there and if the Chargers are interested in drafting him. The one thing that impresses me about him is that he balled out against SEC competition. And he balled out against guys who he's going to play against on Sundays, right? The SEC is the best football conference. We all know this, right? We don't have to rehash that and go over it. It is the best football conference, whether or not you agree with it. And he balled out against the likes of the Alabamas. He balled out against the likes of the Georgias. He balled out against the likes of the Auburns, right? Guys who are going to be in the league, guys who have played at a high level, guys who are, all SEC defenders, you have it, he's balled out against these guys, and he's had big plays against these guys. One of the biggest plays, I think, was that he had like a 70-yard touchdown against Alabama from this past season. And he was being covered, I think it was by Josh Jobe. He was being covered like white on rice. And, he was able to turn around, stop on a dime, get a catch, and get accelerated. And he outran the entire, Alabama defense. Alabama defensive guy, those guys are going to be in the NFL. How many of those guys are not going to play in the NFL? He's, so he really did ball out against premium competition. So I think that is definitely a big credit to him. And that's one of the things that a lot of teams are going to be looking at. You can look at the tape, he's balling out against guys who are, going to go in third and fourth round, so he's not just playing against any dudes, any community college dudes. He's actually, beating, future NFL corners. So, you got to give him credit for that. That's definitely an impressive thing. Not everybody in college can do that. He ran 4.45 at the combine. That is not a blazing speed by any stretch, but your eyes did not lie to you. If you watch the tape, even if you watch a highlight film or whatever on YouTube, right? Watch some of the highlights. He's consistently running away from people, right? So that 4.45, that 4.55, it doesn't seem like it's the fastest, but if you continually watch the tape, this guy is continually running away from people. He is separated from really fast guys. Like I said, I just outlined that 70-yard touchdown against Alabama. That 4.55 doesn't scare me because he shows his speed on tape. He shows his speed, in the open field. He's great after the catch. He can get upfield and outrun people. That 4.55 doesn't scare me. It's kind of like, it's akin to like a really, really, really smart guy taking a test, right? If you're not a good test taker, you're not going to get, the best score, right? You can get a passing score, right? You can get, I don't know, whatever college class you take, right? You get a 75, 77, whatever. It's not going to impress anybody, right? You passed, you did a good job, you passed, but it's not going to impress anybody. But it doesn't show how smart you are. And to me, that's one of the things about the 40-yard dash. And, people put too much on it. That 4.55 doesn't scare me because if I turn on the tape and I see him running away from Alabama guys, I know that this guy has some real speed. And he can turn it up, and he can, especially once he has the ball in his hands after the catch, he can really, really turn it up and really run away from people. So that does not scare me whatsoever. He's a real athlete. He's a real athlete, regardless of the 40 time and all of that stuff. So people need to understand that your eyes did not lie to you. The tape says that this guy is fast. The tape says that this guy can separate from future NFL guys. So, it would be safe to assume that he can do that in the NFL as well, too. So that's another thing that you can, give him high marks for. Now, the concerns about Treylon Burks are there, and I think he has a little... he's a guy to be a little more concerned with than I think some of the other receivers in the draft. Number one, and the thing that comes to mind most is that, okay, I read he's 6'3", 225 pounds, right? He's a big guy. This is a big dude playing wide receiver. His physicality for him being that big doesn't really show up. It doesn't really show up and it doesn't manifest itself in really the run game. It doesn't manifest itself in him blocking downfield. It just doesn't really manifest itself the way that it should. Now, it is college and he was asked to do a lot at Arkansas, so I can understand, maybe if you don't want to go all out and all of that, I can understand that. That's understandable. It's not, for me, it's not a thing where you should downgrade him because of that. But I would have liked to see him be more physical on tape, right? 6'3", 225 is big. That's big for an NFL wide receiver, right? So it's big in college. So his physicality could have been felt more. I would like to see him, truck people just be physical. Be physical in the running game. Be physical, a lot more physical after the catch. Especially when they throw him screen passes or when he was, running in motion and he's taking the jet sweeps and stuff like that. Be more physical, right? Run with more of a purpose. And that's one of the things that I did not see from him. And I seen a quote from him, I think it was a couple weeks ago, saying that he kind of wanted to be the next Deebo Samuel. Well, I don't think that that's possible with the way that he plays now, because Deebo Samuel was a guy, the way that he plays in the NFL now is the way that he played in college. Like, he was a menace. He's a guy you don't want to come up and tackle. There's too many times on tape where you see Treylon Burks take the ball and, the first guy gets him down. The first guy's able to trip him up or whatever. So that doesn't typically happen with Deebo Samuel. I've never seen it happen with Deebo Samuel watching him in the league. So I think Treylon Burks needs to be a little more physical, especially if he wants to be that type of player that Deebo Samuel is. His route running is something that he has to work on as well too. He is a guy, he doesn't run the routes over the middle very well. He's rounding off a lot of his routes. You can see it on the tape. It's not precise, and it's not it's not conducive to him getting open in the league. If you start rounding off routes in the league, a linebacker can cover you. The linebackers are athletic as hell. They can really cover you. You have to be able to put your foot in the dirt, cut on a dime, and be able, to go north, south, east, west. You have to be able to do all that stuff. You can't just round things off. You can get away with that in college. You're not going to be able to get away with that in the NFL, especially when teams are playing zone defenses and stuff like that. You want to be able to move and shift the defense. You rounding the routes off is not going to be able to shift the defense enough for you to get open, or for the window to be open enough for a quarterback to throw it into, right? Particularly Justin Herbert, if the Chargers draft him. He's going to have to run the routes and, be able to learn how to run routes better, especially in zone coverage, because I think that's what trips up a lot of wide receivers from the college game to the NFL game. It's the zone coverage and how to run your routes in zone coverage, how to find the open holes, how to sit down in them, all of that stuff. He doesn't do that very well, right? But, like I said, it is college, but he will have to work on that. And I think that is something that he has to work on, and I think that doesn't make him, that makes him somebody who is not going to have a big impact day one if the Chargers do draft him, because he can't do that. You have another guy in Keenan Allen who, in my opinion, is the best route runner in the NFL. You have Michael Williams, who has significantly improved his route running since he got into the league. And then, you have this rookie who is rounding off his routes. That it just doesn't work. He also just needs to develop as a wide receiver, right? There are times where he kind of gets lost in the shuffle out there. If the ball does not go to him, it looks like he is not, I don't want to say not completing the routes, but he kind of just is he looks a little bit lost, and he doesn't look like he is really engaged, if the ball doesn't come to him. So he needs to develop as a wide receiver more. Be more of a pro style wide receiver, because it doesn't matter if you get the ball or not. All of the routes need to be ran. You have to have the defense spread out. You can't just say, hey, the ball's not coming to me, let me just go over here and just, break my route off early or whatever. It's not going to, because that guy who is shading you might see that you're breaking your route off, and then he can go jump another route. So you have to be able to run your routes the way that you run. Expect to get the ball every time and run your route that way. Don't break it off. And even when the ball's not coming to you, you gotta be able to do that and be a professional when it comes to that. So I think he just needs overall development as well too. This would be if the Chargers drafted him, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a bad pick, not by any stretch, but I think for what the Chargers want to do now, and for the success that they are aiming for now, I don't think that the pick of Treylon Burks really helps the Chargers now, especially if you're going to go wide receiver, right? I've said it many times, and a lot of Charger fans know you need a guy who is a burner. You need a guy who's going to get downfield and who's going to be able to threaten defenses, right? You need a guy who's going to be able to work the middle, work the slot, be able to get open and stretch the defense. And I don't think that Treylon Burks does this, as well as other guys that are available in this draft. And I don't think that he'll be able to do it for at least, a year or so, until he learns to become a complete wide receiver, until he learns how to run routes better, and, until he just becomes a better NFL player, right? And he gets more seasoning, and just more experience. I don't think that he's going to be able to do that. So I don't think that this potential draft pick would be the best one to make, right now for the Chargers. But he does have a lot of talent. His talent is very, very evident. When you turn on some film, if you turn on some highlights, you can see what he can do. He can do a lot of things. And I think this is one of those guys. And there are some guys like this who are a little bit raw, a little bit underdeveloped. And I think a Sean McVay, a Kyle Shanahan, a Matt LaFleur, any of the other, genius coaches, Andy Reid, this is a guy who's tailor-made for one of those offenses, and they could become a weapon and can actually understand and learn the game from them, and understand what he can do, and understand that he possesses tools that other guys don't have, and that way he can be used to his full capability. But I just don't think that he is a guy who you can just plug into any offense and say, hey, go out here and, your rookie season, go out here and give me 80 catches, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I don't think that he is, I don't think that he's suited for that right now at this moment. So I think he has to go and develop, and I think he has to get with a offensive-minded head coach, and an offensive-minded team in order for him to have the best shot at being, being a star in this league, and maximizing all of his talents. I don't think that the Chargers offer him that, and that's okay. Not every player is going to offer you the opportunity for your team to get better day one from that player coming in. And every team can't offer a player the maximizing of their talents. And I think that's something that everybody should see. And I think Treylon Burks is a good player, but I just don't think that he fits what the Chargers want to do right now. And I don't think that the Chargers would maximize him and use his talents to the best of his ability. I just don't see it. But the possibility is still on the table. But we'll see what happens going forward. But that's all I got for this one, guys. That was my breakdown on Treylon Burks. Great talent, great talent. Very raw. Needs to develop, but hopefully he will in the right offense, with the right team, with the right coach. But that's all I got for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this video. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all the views. Thank you for all the subscribers. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you guys. And that's all I got for this one. Until next time, I will see you later.